Hey, welcome, Jen here, and today we're talking about, is God real? Pretty deep question, right? Yeah, I know. And actually, I have been putting off doing this video because I know that it is kind of a controversial and maybe sensitive topic no matter what you believe. So first, I want to say that regardless of what your beliefs are, I don't judge because I have been all over the map on this. And that's kind of what I wanted to share. I think that people don't really talk enough about when they feel doubts and questioning and uncertainty about things like this. They want to just, like people of faith, just want to be certain, come across like they're certain and maybe push back doubts down, and people who don't believe maybe do the same for their beliefs. Anyway, like I said, I've been all over the map on this, and that's what we're going to talk about. We'll see if you have any aha moments, any insights, or maybe you have some input for me. That would be awesome. Okay, in the meantime, I'm Jen Kunkel. I'm the creator of the Wild Worth Method to empower you to stop feeling insignificant, invisible, and unfulfilled, and instead unleash your wild, savvy self so you know exactly who you are, what you stand for, and you are moving purposefully toward the life you really want with inspired action, and most importantly, you're enjoying the journey. So, that sounds kind of contradictory. Knowing who you are, what you stand for, what you want your life to be like, might make it seem like you need to have crystal clarity on absolutely everything in the world, including your faith and your belief and whether you believe in God or what you believe in. Well, that's not necessarily true. One of the things about me is that I'm a constant learner, and I know that about myself. So I am open-minded, even about things that I have a firm belief in. I'm actually very open-minded, maybe too much so. I'm always open to receiving new information. So my background is in engineering, and I took a lot of science for that. And one of the things I talk about is the scientific method, because it really hit me when I learned what that actually meant and what science meant. I used to think, oh, science means it's proven hard fact. And what I realized when I studied it is that the scientific method actually involves constant questioning, and you can't really prove something true for certain 100% of the time because you can't test 100% of the time yet. So when something is considered true, it's actually just not proven false yet. It's kind of a lot to wrap your head around, but that's the gist of it. And I thought that was really interesting when I started studying science, and it kind of stuck with me. So I am always remain open-minded. I think that's important for truth, because some information can come along that wasn't there before. A variable could come along that wasn't taken into account before, and that could change the outcome. So that's why you're not actually able to prove something true for absolute certain, no doubts at all. I mean, most, like gravity and stuff like that, that's stuff that we consider true pretty much universally. But there could come along some variable someday that changes that, and where gravity doesn't work the way we thought it does. Anyway, so that's a whole nother can of worms, so I won't go down that path. The point is, I'm very open-minded, I'm open to new information, and maybe that's why I've been all over the map when it comes to the idea of God and faith. So my background is that I have two super religious grandmothers and two not religious at all parents. So my dad's mom was very Catholic, my mom's mom was very Jehovah's Witness, and neither of them were very religious at all. So mostly I grew up not religious. I did go to Catholic church and catechism with my dad's mom when I was up until when I was 9, when we moved away, and I was baptized Catholic. So yeah, there's that. And I actually really enjoyed it. I loved that. When we first moved to Las Vegas, I went to Mormon church for a little while with my mom's friend's kids. None of us were actually Mormon, so don't ask me to explain that. I was 9. Okay, and then I just didn't have any religion in my life at all for most of the time. And as I got older, I was really uncomfortable with churches because I felt like I didn't know the etiquette. I didn't know what you were supposed to do. And that made me really uncomfortable for a long time. Anyway, as I got even older, I started to really contemplate it more. In fact, when I was married, I actually had 3 different Bibles. One was a study Bible, and I don't remember exactly what the other 2 were. But when I was thinking about getting divorced, I obviously had some strong feeling of faith because I felt like that was wrong. I felt like I was not supposed to get divorced. And I was reading the Bible looking for a loophole because I was so utterly unhappy. And of course, I scoured it for a loophole, and I didn't think I found one, but, more recently I've been reading it, and I kind of think I did find one. But I'm not going to go into the details of that. I ultimately decided that God would not want me to be so unhappy for the rest of my life, and I did end up getting divorced and moving forward with my life, and that's a whole different story. But that's something that sort of stands out because I don't think I realized my belief at the time until I was ready to take that step, and I thought, oh my gosh, this feels like it's the wrong thing to do, but it also feels like the right thing to do. Okay, so most of my life, really, I would say I've been agnostic, meaning you can't know, because I have this scientific mind where I need proof. And I thought, well, there's just really no way to know for sure, because what does that mean? Unless you see it with your own eyes, have scientific evidence, we just won't know one way or another. So mostly I've been agnostic. And then I had issues with, so I sort of started just learning a little bit more about God, the Bible, and just sort of thinking about it more. And I realized that I wasn't sure about the Bible because, people wrote that, and the Bible itself says people sin, which was a conversation that I was having with a friend at one time. And I thought, well, okay, so there's kind of a confusion there. So how do we trust the Bible? It's been interpreted. It was the King James Version. How do we know that wasn't interpreted for controlling the masses? So these are questions that I've asked myself along the years, and I thought, well, I don't trust the Bible, but I do feel like there's something out there. So I got, spiritual but not religious, and I believed, in the universal oneness, connectedness, the energy, and all of that. So I still feel like there's some connectedness. I don't necessarily think it's one or the other. I think that a lot of it can come together. But more recently, maybe it's been probably a couple of years ago, a little bit more, I was actually in the hospital, or I went to the hospital because I was having abdominal pain. I thought I had appendicitis. And when we got to the hospital, they said, no, it's not appendicitis. They did a CAT scan, and they saw something inside my abdomen. And I was in a small town. I was actually visiting relatives in Wisconsin, thankfully. Honestly, I think I got better treatment up there. So my cousin, who is very religious, she prayed over me. First of all, the doctor came in basically making it seem like I had cancer, and I was a little freaked out. They had already given me something, so I was kind of out of it. Anyway, my cousin prayed over me, and then I got into the ambulance to go to a different hospital where, they had, it was a teaching hospital, in a bigger city, so they had to send me there. So I got into the ambulance, and I went there for that half-hour ride, and I was actually pretty relaxed, joking around with the people in the ambulance. Anyway, by the time I got there, the doctors there had reviewed the CAT scan and everything, and I was asking, okay, so what about this cancer thing? And they were like, what? Like, no, that's not even, no, we're pretty sure that's not it. So I don't know. She prayed. Well, this doctor said was starting to talk cancer. They said they didn't even know what they were talking about. So that's something to me. Anyway, you know, that was one thing. I won't get into it. It was some bacterial abscess. They drained it, gave me antibiotics. I was good. It was a longer ordeal than that, but that's the bottom line. Anyway, so yeah. Before that, I would say that I actually said that I didn't believe in God in the way that the Bible laid it out. There is a God, this person, or not person, but entity or whatever. And after that, I started to question I basically said I was atheist before that, for just a little while, and I'm kind of embarrassed by that now. So, because I don't feel that way at all anymore. So that happened. I've had experiences before that where I felt something. I was actually this was a few years before that even. I was very, very upset about a breakup, and I just was completely distraught, and I prayed, and I felt instant peace instantly, and I was like, wow, okay, that's definitely something. So anyway, fast forward back to a couple years ago where I thought I was atheist for a little while, and then I decided maybe I'm not, maybe I'm not atheist after all. And I would kind of have this in the back of my head about the hospital and my cousin, and then probably just a few months after that, I started thinking about how much evil there really is in the world, and just how it sort of just hit me in a big rush, like, wow, you know what? If all of this evil is real and people are doing such bad things, then, it was just like I just suddenly knew God is real, and we need that to fight the evil. So that's where I kind of landed, and then I started reading the Bible again, and I found a different version that is more in English, so it's a lot easier to understand, and took out all the thou's and wilts and all those things, so it seems a lot easier to absorb. I still haven't gotten very far. I read it at night, and sometimes I fall asleep, so I keep kind of jumping around. I know Christians say, oh, start with the book of John because it's easier, but I started in the Old Testament, then I went to the New Testament, and then I decided I want to go back to the Old Testament again because I don't feel like that should be skipped over. So I'm not really sure why people suggest that, but I think that we should go to the original book. And then I've been just looking up stuff about like the Dead Sea Scrolls, and I watched this documentary about I think it was called The Search for Mount Sinai, which was really interesting. They found this basically like a land bridge underneath a body of water that was, they think, at least in the documentary, they presented it as where Moses crossed the Red Sea, when they were all escaping from Egypt. Kind of interesting if you want to check that out. Anyway, my bottom line where I'm at now is that, God is the opposite of evil, and I'm still exploring the details of my beliefs around that. I will refer to God in my videos and my trainings and that sort of thing, and if you don't believe in that, or if you're not sure, I certainly don't judge, because I've been there and I understand that. And the bottom line, the big picture of things, is that I question everything, and I'm open to possibilities, And the truth is, you know, in this plane of reality, we don't know for sure. We can only have faith and explore what we can possibly learn about it and go from there. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. I know this is kind of a different video, but I'd love to hear what you think. I think, you know, what we believe in our faith really kind of one thing I didn't mention, and again, I don't judge if you have this belief. I was kind of going down this road of the New Age stuff, and I came across some things that say that, you know, that's like evil creeping into our world. And I could sort of see how that could be. And I know a lot of people who do, you know, energy work and crystal stuff and tarot and that kind of stuff. And I've never, ever been into channeling. Like anything with channeling, I've always felt like you do not know what you're calling in there. And it's something that I stay away from. You know, to each their own, but that's just my thoughts on it. I just don't think you can be certain of what you're calling in there. And yeah, I'm a little iffy about a lot of that stuff. I do think that as I research more, I might get more clarity on how I feel about that stuff. But in the meantime, yeah, channeling has never been my thing. I don't do Ouija boards. I'm not into stuff like that. I don't want to call on spirits, and yeah, that's not for me. Thanks anyway. Never has been, because I do believe that you can really, yeah, reach other realms. So there's that. Okay, all right. So I just wanted to throw that part in there because it was kind of important. All right, love to hear your thoughts. Have a great day. Much love, and remember, you're more powerful than you know.